Omulanje Alex Salam TV nkwaniriza nnyo sibyotya lyotya abasiraamu salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Program Kadaama nze Nabukenya Aminah tuba tutunuulira ate emirimu egiriwo ne tutunuulira baganda baffe olwo ne twebaza gavumenti okubeera ng'esaggula naffe tubeera nga tufunamu olwo nno mmwe ababadde bakibongeeseza nti abaana bagenda ebweru bagenda mu buddu ne mukimanya nti kyemwogerako ate kibi nnyo era tikiriyo. Olunaku olwaleero tugenda kuba twogera ne commissioner ng'ono yakulembera ebyo byennyini ebya employment makampuni mwenna ono yabeera agavunaanyizibwako. Gavumenti eggyeewo emirimu ono yagenda kuba nga akunnyonnyola era akunnyonnyole ku ebyo ebyatuukibwako omwaka oguwedde. Omwaka guno tutandika okugenda mu nsi ezo. Naye nga programu yaffe ey'olwaleero egenda kuba mu lulimi olunyaanyimbe oba olulimi oluzungu. Mutuule mukkalire temuvaawo. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm with the Commissioner Employment Service, Mr. Lawrence Egulu, right?
Correct.
And he's going to take us through about the updates, how far we have gone. Please keep in touch. Commissioner, how are you doing? How is Ministry of Labour? How is everyone here? And everyone is waiting for you to say hi to them.
Hi, everybody. Lawrence Egulu is my name, Commission Employment Services in the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. It's a pleasure to be here, Aminah.
Yeah,
my
thank you.
Luganda is not as good as yours.
Okay.
So let's do English.
Probably you should do English as I mix well Luganda and English. Katono katono as we move. Actually, my audience is more in Luganda. But English, at least they know. For now, they know. Absolutely. Government has done a lot. And we've seen very many people have gone to school.
True.
So we are here to get the updates of what is happening in the labor industry and in the new countries we saw Ministry of Labour moving through last year. Are we at par?
Right, thank you very much, Aminah. And it's always a pleasure to speak to the nation and to all stakeholders about external employment,
Okay.
or what the Ugandans call externalization of labor. Of course, this is an age-old issue and started for us in Uganda during the days of Cheyo. Everybody traveling abroad looking for
Greener pastures.
greener pastures, particularly during the very difficult times that Uganda went through in the 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s. And so come 2005,
It blew up. Huh?
yes, particularly after the exit of the American forces from Afghanistan and Iraq, there was a vacuum.
True.
So that was when the first batch of Ugandans, particularly ex-combatants, were then deployed to those two hotspots, plus Somalia as well. So the three became the first areas where Ugandans went. Now, so at that point there was no legislation, there was no law which regulated the industry, if I might call it an industry. So 2005, the president then launches the external employment program, and then a law is put in place to, among other things, license recruitment companies, and also sign bilateral agreements with destination countries. And then that was when the flood started.
True.
The first country, obviously, where the biggest demand comes from, apart from the ex-combatants going to Iraq, Afghanistan and Somalia, is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is where we signed the first bilateral labor agreement in 2017.
Others say
December.
Others say it was the Dubai.
No,
It is not Dubai?
That came much later.
UAE?
So it was first Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and then the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan was the second. The third one was recently, that was 2019, with the United Arab Emirates. So technically we've only signed 3 agreements with 3 countries. The ones that are coming up are with the state of Qatar, We're signing it in March this year. Qatar.
Okay.
Yes. And then subsequently we are looking at a possibility of starting negotiations. We've actually started negotiations. We've exchanged documents with the Sultanate of Oman.
Okay.
So that's also in process. And then the newer countries that are coming on board, where the minister has already written through Ministry of Foreign Affairs,
Okay.
to have to initiate dialogue with the United Kingdom, with Turkey, the Republic of Turkey, with Canada,
Okay.
and with Germany.
Canada and Germany.
And Germany. So this should be now the next phase. And in those ones, we are looking more at professional jobs. You know, as you can imagine, for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the main category has been domestic workers. And then with places like the United Arab Emirates, then you have security, you have shop attendants, you have drivers, a few teachers, mechanics, technicians, plumbers. But essentially, as we speak now, majority of Ugandans regularly externalized are in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And
True.
the majority are domestic workers.
True. And we see them each and every day, at least 1,000, 2,000 are moving out. But this Jordan thing, the Jordan country, many of our siblings, many of our sisters have suffered in Jordan. And you're saying we are having an agreement with them.
Yes.
For domestic workers or
and for general
others?
workers. So actually with the two countries, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan and with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we've signed two agreements each. So there's the general workers agreement, that's any category of workers,
Okay.
journalists inclusive.
In Jordan?
Jordan and Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
So general and then domestic workers.
Domestic workers.
But forces of demand and supply, clearly the interest is in
Domestic
workers for the two countries. So back to your question on Jordan. So we signed in 2017
For Jordan.
with Jordan. A number of Ugandans went there. There were issues which led to the suspension of the agreement, the bilateral labor agreement with the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan
For
in
domestic,
2019.
For domestic workers.
So all categories of workers.
Oh.
So technically speaking, we have no business with the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan right now. So whoever has been traveling to the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan has been trafficked.
Talk to them.
Because
they are always moving to Jordan. Talk to them.
They should not, because the bilateral labor agreement is suspended. So technically speaking, you're there on your own.
Abali e Jordan baganda bange. Ministry of Labor egambye nti endagaano yasazibwamu era oba gy'oli oli ku lulwo toli ku lwa gavumenti.
2019.
Yasazibwamu mu 2019. 2019. Awo kale essaawa zinagenda ne bakugamba muganda wange ogenda Jordan ogenda ku lulwo so si ku lwa ministry kyonna ekikugwako dukazambwa ogambe weeweeyo nti wagenda ku lulwo si lwa gavumenti.
So there is a demand, yes.
Yeah.
But we've said yes, employment is important, but rights are also important. We want to make sure that you're protected, much as we want you to get some extra money. So my minister was in Jordan. We were there together last
year.
November. Was
Yes.
it November? Yes. And we met the authorities, the ministry, the recruiters over there. And we went with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which naturally is our gate opener. And we put this again to them, that guys, we have a running agreement. The bilateral labor agreement exists, but it's on hold simply because there are a number of violations which had happened.
True.
And for the mutual benefit of our sister countries, do the right thing and we will get back to you, so that we shall reopen externalization of labor between our two countries. So among other things, they're supposed to have a consulate, because as you know, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, I mean the Riyadh, our embassy in Riyadh in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia also covers the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. So it's huge, and as you can imagine, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is a whole continent. It's a huge country.
It is very huge.
And then on top of that, you have Oman, you have Bahrain, you have Kuwait, and you have Jordan, under the jurisdiction of Riyadh alone. And of course, issues of monitoring. How do you monitor that expanse of land? So we said, let's have a consulate in Jordan who will be looking after the interests of Uganda. So if there are complaints, they do not necessarily have to run to Riyadh, which is
far away.
There will be a representation because we don't have an embassy in Amman.
True.
So this person will be looking after the interests of Ugandans, and also the businessmen will be passing through him. Because if there are jobs, the jobs must first be verified by the consulate, even before the mission in Riyadh. So, among other things, take care of our girls well, assure us that there is a presence, a Ugandan diplomatic presence, for ease of communication and redress if there are any challenges. So we are hoping for, I mean, it's all diplomacy, so it's a lot of work before we can be comfortable to say
that
resume.
Now it is open.
Exactly.
Let's resume our agreement, and then Jordan girls should move, right? So do we see this embassy moving in, or they're still negotiations?
Yeah, so we're working with Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So a consulate has to be designated, a consul, a person has to be designated. This has been done. The official communication has to happen. Obviously, the consul has to be accepted by the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the country of destination. And then, diplomatic sources, diplomatic channels, diplomatic communications have to happen for this to be effected. And then, of course, for the companies in Jordan, then they have to be inspected. Now, we have to be clear that we are dealing with clean companies in Jordan.
Not the other ones.
So if they have reformed, well and good. There are those which, as I told you, there were cases of violations of the rights of our girls, a lot of complaints. But we've also had cases where our companies have also complained. They have not been paid their dues. There have been unnecessary fines. And if a girl kind of escapes or has issues, they have not been able to follow up effectively. So those kind of challenges, we need them to be addressed, so that if you have to resume this relationship, it should start on a clean slate.
True. In Saudi Arabia, we've seen that most of human rights violation has really decreased to zero, probably, as we speak. But our girls are still complaining of the competition they are having with other girls from other nations. How are you dealing with this? We are still getting low pay compared to the Philippines, compared to the Nigerians and others. And we also see Burundi into the picture.
Right. Okay, so the bilateral labor agreement was revised. Okay, the first one, which was signed in 2017, expired in December 2022. So a few months before that, we started a negotiation towards renewing the bilateral labor agreement, which eventually was signed in March, the new agreement. Now, the beauty of it, when you say that the violations have reduced, it's simply because of the strength of the negotiations we had. So we put our feet down on a number of things that we needed to be in place, so as to protect our own girls. Because it's, as we said, it's not just about saying we want to capture the market in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We also want to make sure that our girls are safe and they earn better. So a Ugandan domestic worker in Saudi Arabia, first time is at 900 reals. Add 3 zeros, that's about 900,000.
900,000, yes.
A returnee with experience and a bit of Arabic is 1,200. So that's 1.2 million Ugandan shillings.
True.
Burundi, which you're talking about, is at 800.
Burundi.
Yes, so Burundi is less than ours. It's 800 reals, which is 800,000.
Okay.
Ethiopia, same.
800.
800. Kenya is same as us, 900.
900.
So we are about there at that rate. And yes, the Filipinos earn a bit more. But I think there's also a history to this. The Philippines started this much earlier than us, in the 70s. And we should say they have perfected the industry.
Okay.
They have perfected the industry. Their training programs are longer.
More than ours.
More than ours. Ours is only 2 weeks. Theirs is real training. Ours is more an orientation, you see. Because a Filipino worker, domestic worker, is not going to be a domestic worker. He's really a home manager.
But we are doing the same job in the house.
Yes, that's true. So it's now about the value addition. But I must also say it's about a negotiating skill.
Okay.
You know, you see that. So when former President Obama says he was looked after by a Filipino domestic worker, so that tells you the history. It's been on for a long time.
Long time.
We are still new in the field, and of course, you know, there are certain, even in the market, there are certain products you will trust.
Commissioner.
You're not
no. We are coming with a bit of experience. We have the English. We are learnt. We are more than the Philippines.
That's all true. I guess there is also the perception that Makerere University is still better than IU.
No. But there's exploitation here. There's exploitation. I'll go as a domestic worker, and then my boss will say, Aminah, I know you understand English well. Why don't you teach my child? Right. Can you imagine? So that's another addition work, which is not paid, and is not negotiated in the agreement.
I think you're perfectly right. And, you know, it's also about the demand, you know, in this case. So we are supplying, and we believe in our people. We believe that they work hard. They believe they're better in English. And once they decide to concentrate on their work, they will deliver results. Okay. The other side maybe doesn't see it exactly like that. They still have that bias. As you know, demand and supply. I'll believe that my people dig better than you. If I'm to take them to the garden, we are stronger with the hoe than you from Tambala or from Budu. You see, so that's the perception of the person demanding, which necessarily doesn't hold water all the time. But again, as the Ugandans get more and more stable in the market, I see where we are actually going up. Because as we said already, the fact that we are 1,200 for returnee migrant workers tells you that they appreciate that those who have been here know us better. So they should be able to get more. They should earn more. But indeed, it's about our ability also to negotiate. This is only the second phase, the second bilateral labor agreement with Saudi Arabia. And we'll strengthen certain aspects of the bilateral agreement. So come the third one, I'm sure we shall be at 1,500 or even more.
Wow. Then when you look at Uwera, has more than 300, not more than 300. They always say there are 300 companies which are registered. Could this be true, or there are more?
Yeah. Okay, so Uwera, Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies.
Yes.
Membership is voluntary. We have about 450 companies
now
which we've registered.
Recruitment companies.
So there are those which are under Uwera. There are those which are under the second federation. There is another one, External Labor Association of Uganda. But again, not all of them are members of either Uwera or this other second outfit. There are those which are not yet non-aligned.
As members.
Yes, as members of the two federations. But of course, it pays better dividends if they could all be under one umbrella, so that they have one voice and they speak as one. So yes, so there are 450 companies. Not all of them are active, by the way.
I was about to ask,
you know,
how do you monitor them?
Business has not been very forthcoming for them. You know, not everybody who comes into the industry will get business immediately. True. You know, and of course monitoring. Well, the law is there. The law, we make sure that they don't violate. And the biggest violators are those that don't train. So if you don't train your migrant workers,
then you
it
are
will
not
land
good
you
to-
in trouble. It means you're effectively
Oh.
trafficking people before they have gone through the due process. You know. The second area is people picking money from
people
girls
and
or
then
boys,
they are not
and then they are not sent externalized,
true.
which is a big breach of the regulations. And then obviously there are those which will there's a lot of hanky panky games here and there, and
So you know
we
know what
them,
these
and
people do.
and we crack down on them. The moment we have there's no second thought. We delicense you immediately if
Oh.
we see that you're playing around. A girl dies in Saudi Arabia and you're not taking responsibility of
True.
bringing back the body, or somebody is
The
sick.
complaints.
There are complaints,
And you're not really
and you're not understanding. For instance, Spire is now there's this show on X Twitter
yes.
on labor externalization, and we keep monitoring. We are seeing complaints coming in. There are those who report to us, there are those who don't report, but we're also following what's going on in social media. We get reports from the police, from the RDCs, from members of parliament, and we follow them very closely. You violate, we ask you to to defend yourself. If you see
If you don't defend yourself,
we strike you off, suspend you, strike you off. Sorry.
I thought the Ministry of Gender, you really go down deep and you monitor to our girls, because these companies say each and every girl who moves out from a certain company which is registered is also known by the Ministry of Gender.
Yes.
But why don't you go on ground
Yes.
and do some monitoring?
So as long as you are cleared regularly through us, we know you. We know your status. We know that you are still in training. We know that you have traveled. We know where you are in Saudi Arabia or in United Arab Emirates, wherever you are.
somewhere.
We have your records. So in the event of any problem, we can be able to track you.
Oh.
Now, problem is when you go on your own.
Yes.
Then we have no idea where you are. And you get into issues, and we see them, social media, whatever it is. Most of them have been trafficked. But, of course, you're Ugandan. If you raise your voice, we'll get you. We'll rescue you. Now, here, obviously, if you have any issues, like you paid your money to any company, for lack of a better one, Axis Warriors, let's say, and they have not externalized you, and you come to complain, we will task Axis Warriors to explain
Why
why have you taken this girl's money, and this boy who is supposed to go to Doha to be a driver, and he has not been taken. What's the problem? Bring back the guy's money, otherwise we'll take your money. We have the bank guarantee, which we will get that money from and pay this person, but you'll also be under sanction because you violated the regulations.
Okay.
You see, so we crack down on these companies when they are here. And we also crack down on them when they're abroad, because they have to account for these girls and boys who have traveled. It doesn't mean you stop the moment they fly out of Entebbe. That's the end of your role. No. Until they come back.
Oh,
because they're your kids. Yes. They're your kids. You send your kids to study in Budo. Do you forget them when they go to Budo?
No.
They have to come back on holiday. They finish their primary 7 or senior 4. So you have to account for them until they return.
So you only crack down the Ugandan company. How about the other company?
Okay, so this is what happens. But before that, about payment. One, domestic workers, the only amount of money they pay is 20,000. 20,000, 12 of it.
Emitwalo ebiri, gumu ebiri. Nga gusasulani, paying who?
The recruitment companies as registration fee. Period. Everything else is to be paid by the company, because the companies in Uganda are paid by companies abroad.
Okay.
For all these costs: passport, medicals, Interpol, ticket, training, is all supposed to be borne by the Ugandan company, because the Ugandan company is paid.
So the 250,000 for training is corruption.
Is it happening? I'm not aware of that.
Most of the girls are
Anybody
complaining.
who is paying anything above 20,000 and is going to be externalized as a domestic worker is being cheated. Please report to us and we will crack down on that company.
Where do they report? Please talk to the girls. They have been cheated for a while.
We are here. Bring that information to us. We have the external employment unit on the ground, on the basement floor. Bring that information.
Okay.
Come to my office on the 6th floor. We'll get that information. We'll get that company.
Oh, mashallah, ntoza abakadaama baffe muwulidde abaagala ogenda okukola oba okuba ekyeyo ntoza muwulidde emitwalo egi gy'olina okusasula okuwandiisa ebisigadde byasasulwa dda ati kampani yo beekusabye leeta emitwalo 5 dduka zambwa paka ku Ministry of Gender weekubira enduulu kubanga byonna byasasulwa dda. Now, Commissioner, as we go ahead, you told us that you have added Turkey, Germany and Canada
And the UK.
When are we commencing?
So again, we're going through foreign affairs. Already we've had initial, consultations with
And the UK too.
And the UK. Just for information of Ugandans, the Republic of Kenya already signed a bilateral agreement with the United Kingdom on health workers.
Okay.
And as you know, there's hunger for health workers, and other categories of workers.
True.
Canada, same. We have the same training, bring Commonwealth countries.
Yes.
So Canada also makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Now, for places like Germany and the neighboring states, there's Hungary, there's Poland. There's a lot of demand for factory workers as well as farm workers. So those are the areas where we are looking at.
The factory
and technicians
workers.
and factory workers.
Okay.
So that's for the EU market. And of course, the EU is very expensive where it comes to labor. So they're now also beginning to look further afield, and Africa seems to fit that profile. And it's it's cheaper in terms of tickets from here to Germany. Turkey is much closer here. And they too are in the G20, they're among the G20 countries, and they're also interested.
Okay.
So there's a lot of scope. The minister has already written. So we will have a technical mission and a political mission to meet this, to start the process. Of course, working with our ambassadors in these countries to have these negotiations started so that we have bilateral labor agreements with these countries.
All right. So we are now seeing ourselves heading to Canada with less fee, heading to Germany with less fee, but with big salaries, right?
That's correct. And big salaries, you send back more money home. Government gets more remittances, more taxes as well, and our people are happy.
All right. As we end our show in 3 minutes, what have we achieved in our previous NAM delegations and other conferences which we've had?
Of course.
As Minister of Labour.
Look, one, Uganda is a non-aligned country, and that is in our constitution, and we would like to remain so. We are neither east nor west, we are non-aligned.
Yes.
So that's one thing. But of course, when you have visitors coming home, you've seen the cleanliness of the city, you've seen the investments in terms of the hotels, you've seen the tourism. All of a sudden, people have realized there's a beautiful country, christened the Pearl of Africa. So that in itself has sold us as a country, and we are glad that we are indeed gifted by nature, and we'll have more investments. People will definitely come, tourists, investors, scholarships, and generally the fact that we are in the center of Africa, people will appreciate that we are a stable country, much as we are surrounded by areas of countries in conflict. We are an island of peace, and that's good international relations for us as a country. And same with external employment. Every worker that goes abroad is an ambassador.
True.
And every visitor that came here now has gone back as Uganda's ambassador.
True.
Because they have seen all the good that there is in this country.
So do we see more and more bilateral agreements coming up?
Absolutely. I think this has sold us in positive light, all these conferences, the tourists, the investors, the visitors that we've had. I see us opening up our Ugandan market, labor market, to other countries as well.
Commissioner Lawrence, please give us an advice to our girls, to the companies, and to the country at large. when
please,
it comes to external labor?
If you must travel abroad, if you must, because not everybody should travel abroad.
Okay.
Uganda still needs all of us. We love Uganda. It's a beautiful country. You do not necessarily have to make it big when you travel abroad.
Okay.
Think again before you travel abroad. Must you really go? Or can your life be better when you're in Uganda? But if you must go, have your facts. If you're in doubt, please come and ask us. Of course, I'll say check on our website, but most people don't do that. So come physically and ask questions. If you go into those arcades, everybody, I'm sure, if you want to go to Canada today and you went to a company in one of those shops or where people are being sent abroad, they will say, yes, there's a job in Canada, there's another one in Germany, we can go to New Zealand, you can go to Russia. What I'm telling you is they don't exist. Come and check with us first. Because we'll do due diligence. We'll check with the company abroad, whether that company has those jobs, and indeed that you should be able to travel. So check with us and you'll be safe. Because if you go alone on your own, but never stable, please don't go before you are sure that this job exists. You'll get into trouble.
Mukiwulidde from the horse's mouth. He has said it all. So baganda bange abagala okutambula ndowooza muwulidde Ministry of Gender byonna yebimala. Etugambye company zisukka mbina naye ate ezimu tezikola. Kati mwegendereze. Era emirimu emipya gijja mu nsi ezo ze musinga okwagala ba professionals muri Canada, Germany, Turkey ne UK mujerinde. Nze Nabukenya Aminah program Kadaama olunaku olwaleero tubadde mu lulimi Luzungu. Atakumira mpeera kunkumire siba bulungi. Basula bulungi. Weraba.